Although 911 is meant to be for emergencies, dumb 911 calls happen quite often. Today, you're going to hear about some of the funniest 911 calls ever recorded. To be honest, this list might make you feel a little bit better about yourself. I'm Mike with List 25, and these are 25 dumb reasons people have called 911. In 2012, Rother McLennan of Connecticut called 911 after a deli messed up his order. The extremely patient dispatcher told him that if he doesn't like the sandwich, he should just leave the shop.
24.
When Elaine Owen saw a fire in her bathroom, she called 911. The fire department showed up to discover that the flames were just sunlight reflecting off of the shower curtain.
23.
Rother wasn't the only one having trouble with his sandwich. Reginald Peterson of Jacksonville, Florida, called police when Subway employees left off his sauce. He then called back to complain that officers weren't responding fast enough. If that's not an emergency, I don't know what is.
22.
In 2008, John McCain's younger brother called 911 to complain about traffic. The dispatcher told him he couldn't call for non-emergency reasons, to which Joe responded, "F you," and hung up. The dispatcher called back and reached the voicemail of Joe McCain that stated, "Sorry, I cannot take your call right now. I'm busy with a family political project." His brother was running for president. The dispatcher left a message telling him that what he did is prosecutable. So Joe did what any lovable politician would do. He called 911 back to complain about the message.
21.
In 2011, a British man in Canterbury dialed 999, the British emergency number, to report a massive light source above his house. The dispatcher told him that she would look into it, but the man called back 2 minutes later saying, "You won't believe this. It's the moon."
20.
In 2005, a recording surfaced online of a dispatcher fielding a call from an irate California soccer mom whose Burger King burger wasn't being done her way. The dispatcher can be heard telling her, "Ma'am, we're not going to go down there and enforce your Western bacon cheeseburger."
19.
When the nail tech didn't do her nails right, Cynthia Colston of Florida called the police. She then called again to ask when the police were going to show up. Then, when the police did show up, she called yet again to complain that nothing was being done. Well, that's not entirely correct. Something was done. Cynthia got taken to jail.
18.
When a McDonald's employee forgot to include an orange juice with Rabin Osman's order, Rabin called the police. After being informed that he was abusing the system and refusing to calm down, he was arrested and had to spend the night in an Oregon jail.
17.
Local Cleveland school board member Andrew Mizak was living in his parents' basement when he refused to clean his room. He was 28 years old. His dad called the police, and a tearful Andrew later ended up promising to pick up his toys, or stuff. The call ended with his dad apologizing to the dispatcher, saying that he didn't want to ruin his son's political career. Apparently, nobody told Papa Mizak that ruining a political career is no longer possible. Thanks, Don.
16.
In 2006, Michigan police officer Edward Sanchez pocketed some weed during a bust. That evening, he made weed brownies with his wife and ended up calling 911 to tell the operator that he was dead. He's no longer a police officer.
15.
In 2006, after a couple of police officers knocked on Oregon resident Lorna Dudash's door to inform her that her music was too loud, Lorna called 911 to get the name of one of the officers. Why? Because she thought he was cute. And that's how Lorna ended up spending the night in jail.
14.
After a long night of drinking, Wisconsin resident Mary Stray called 911 to report a dangerous driver. After the dispatcher asked whether she was behind the driver, she replied, "No, I am the driver." You know what? Good for her, actually. Good for her.
13.
When 10-year-old Dan Davis's mom told him to go to bed, he threatened to call 911. When mom tried to call his bluff, he went forward with it. Although Dan wasn't arrested, he did get tucked in by a police officer.
12.
In 2010, a Canadian man made repeated calls to 911 asking them to bring the jets from Atlanta back to Winnipeg. After being warned several times, he was told that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were going to come and take him to jail. His response? Can they bring some smokes?
11.
In 2013, some crooks butt-dialed 911 in Oklahoma right after robbing a house. Apparently, they were overheard discussing their loot.
10,
A woman in Kalispell, Montana told the 911 operator, "My house has a heartbeat," after she called to complain about her neighbor's loud music. I'm still not sure if she was speaking metaphorically or not.
9,
In 2010, Florida resident Charles Dennison called 911 to complain that his mom had taken his beer. It turns out that he was quite intoxicated when making the phone calls. Luckily for Charles, he had plenty of time to sober up in jail.
8,
A man from Lincoln, Nebraska called 911 to report that some of his favorite hookah pipes had been stolen. When police arrived, however, they were more interested in the special plants he was growing around the house. Oregano.
7,
In 2013, a 4-year-old boy became an internet sensation when a recording of his 911 call was leaked. Apparently, he had called for help with his math homework. The patient operator proceeded to help him with problems like 16 minus 8, which is 8, in case you were wondering.
I was.
6,
When Tennessee resident Rama's boyfriend failed to make up his mind regarding marriage, he resorted to calling 911. She told the dispatcher that he wouldn't make an honest woman of her. Apparently, she was a repeat 911 caller because she eventually ended up getting in trouble for abusing the system.
5,
In 2013, dispatchers in Fresno, California got butt dialed from 2 men who had broken into a car and stolen prescription drugs.
4,
Instead of calling Apple to help fix his iPhone, Michael Allen Skopik of Illinois decided to call the police. And not just once, repeatedly. The cops did eventually show up, but not to fix the phone. They took Michael to jail.
3,
Texas resident Elsa Benson called 911 in 2009 because her husband wouldn't eat his dinner. Apparently, she had a record of calling 911 for non-emergencies.
2,
A burglar in Shelby County, Ohio accidentally butt dialed 911 while breaking into a home. He then proceeded to hide in a closet, but when the police arrived, his phone's low battery alarm gave him away.
1,
In 2009, a woman from Kissimmee, Florida called 911 when she locked herself in her car. If you're wondering how on earth that's even possible, then you can empathize with the dispatcher. After a stunned silence, the dispatcher asked her, "Are you able to pull the lock up on the door? You should still be able to pull the lock up even if it's electrical." The woman, who apparently did not think of this, proceeded to sheepishly thank the dispatcher. So, when have you ever called 911 inappropriately? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't do that. Don't call 911 unless it's an emergency.
Told you because I had a dream my mom died.
How old are you? Was this last week?
No!
Okay.
Like 6.
Okay. Weeks ago?
No.
Okay.
Enjoying our lists? Be sure to click that subscribe button in the bottom right so you don't miss out on new ones every Monday through Friday. Share them with your friends and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these 3 videos here or just head to our website at list25.com.